Hi, my name is Donna Serdula, and welcome to Social Media Makeover, where you will learn how to take control of your online image so you can go from dull to powerful. Did you know there are 135 million people on LinkedIn? There's 450 million people on Twitter, and on Facebook, 845 million. So let me ask you this. What are you doing to stand out from the crowd? On today's episode, we are going to focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is different from the other social networks due to its professional nature. No vacation pictures from Maui or status updates about sports teams. You see, LinkedIn has a stellar reputation for helping professionals exchange knowledge and ideas, develop relationships, generate leads, and grow new business. In fact, 3 out of 4 LinkedIn users use LinkedIn for everything business. That's from keeping up on trends to reading business news. LinkedIn is also an amazing tool for job seekers. 80% of the companies out there today are using LinkedIn to find potential employees. Whether you are a job seeker or an employed professional, people are Googling you. Your LinkedIn profile is more often than not your digital introduction and your first impression with the world. If your LinkedIn profile doesn't showcase your skills and portray you as a polished professional, you are letting the ultimate opportunity just slip away. So stay tuned, and we will return with today's guests, Tabitha Dardis and Dave Dixon. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, my name is Donna Serdula, and these are my guests. This is Tabitha Dardis, and this is Dave Dixon. Guys, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
What I thought we would do is maybe start out with an introduction. So Tabitha, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
My name is Tabitha Dardis. I have been a director of marketing and public relations for over 10 years at a local historic site, and recently got involved with a part-time business, which is why I reached out to Donna.
Thank you so much. Dave, tell me a little bit more about you.
Okay. My name is Dave Dixon, and I'm an accounts receivable consultant for Green Flag Profit Recovery. So I help businesses manage their accounts receivable.
Fantastic. Well, the reason why I've invited both Tabitha and Dave to join us today is they're actually sitting on 2 separate ends of the same type of spectrum, and that is that Tabitha has recently reached out to me to help her with her LinkedIn makeover, and just a few weeks ago I recently completed a LinkedIn makeover for Dave Dixon. Right. And Dave and I had a great time, so I thought, why not together look at Tabitha's LinkedIn makeover, her profile, and give her some suggestions and some ideas, and we could also really talk about how LinkedIn can help us, how it's been helping you, and we'll take it from there. So, Tabitha, what first really started you thinking that LinkedIn could be a tool that you could use to further your career?
Well, I've been on LinkedIn for a number of years, not really using it probably as well as I probably could be using it. I noticed as I was doing some searching one night, all the groups that are out there, I joined some groups, people started connecting with me, and then I kind of got panicked and I said, oh, they're gonna come to my profile and they're not gonna see probably my best face, and that's when I thought, I think I really need to have someone look at it, update it, so when people do come and look at my profile, they get the correct information, they get the information they need, and hopefully connect and make some new friends.
Yeah. It's so true. I find myself, years ago when I first started looking at LinkedIn and using it, everyone just sort of wants to copy and paste their resume, put it in there, and they think they're done. And truthfully, I think they're really doing themselves a disservice, because your LinkedIn profile isn't your resume. If you really think about it, your resume is your career history. And your LinkedIn profile is your career future. It's what you can do. It's what you can help, how you can help people, how you benefit people. So it's a totally different way of looking at it. And we really do want to make sure that what you put out there shines. Dave, what made you start thinking about, LinkedIn?
Well, I had actually met you at a chamber event, Chamber of Commerce event, and so I found that conversation really prompted me to, first of all, go in and buy your book, which is a really great tool. And so I did buy the book, and I found it was really helpful. But I needed more. So the book was a great first step, but the more I looked at it and the more I got into it, the more I realized that having you sit down with me to actually do it, one-on-one was a lot more beneficial. And it was a gigantic help. It was an eye-opener, and I'm really pleased I did it. It was really helpful.
Thank you so much. So what I thought maybe what we could do is let's pull up your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
And let's just take a couple looks at it. The first thing I always like to do is I always love to benchmark where your LinkedIn profile is.
Okay.
Because really it's not just your LinkedIn profile, it's your overall LinkedIn network. Okay. Now your LinkedIn network is comprised of your first degree connections. So you know me, that I would be first degree.
Okay.
But you've never met Dave before, but I know Dave. So Dave is your second degree connection.
Okay.
Now if Dave knew someone, that would be a third degree connection to you.
Okay.
So let's come down here. Well, let's just look over here. Your profile has been viewed by 8 people in the past 15 days, and you've shown up in search results 14 times in the past 15 days.
Okay.
Well, these are actually not terribly bad statistics, but they can absolutely be improved. And one of the ways we improve that is by using keywords, really trying to determine, thinking ahead, how are people searching for you? What are those keywords? And then we could use those keywords in your profile. The other thing we see here is that you have 344 connections. Now, most people, on average, I've found it's about 120 connections. But you really want to have a huge network, a really big network. What that's going to do is that's going to allow you to appear in search engine results more often, and it's going to allow you to connect with more people.
Okay.
Dave, when we started out, how many connections did you have?
I want to say about 160, somewhere around there.
And I know that you've been working on it.
I have.
How many? Where are you now?
Well, we met about a month ago, and I'm at 274.
Oh, that's great. So you're getting up there.
Yes. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is let's keep those statistics in mind.
Okay.
Right? And as we, eventually do improve your profile and optimize it,
okay.
I want you to keep coming back and really taking a look and seeing, how am I doing? Am I improving? In fact, one of the really cool things here, and very few people know about this, is if you click on who's viewed your profile, you actually can see the people who viewed your profile. And isn't it funny that Dave and I are at the top of the list?
Yeah, I wonder why.
So that's very funny, but let's keep moving on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just come over here and let's just take a look at your profile. So, what's the first thing that you see when you look at your profile? What's the first thing that you notice?
For me, I guess the image, because I think my eye gravitates towards the person. Who are they? What do they look like? Do I know them? Do they look friendly? Are they, is it a professional photo? And is it engaging?
That's so true. It's something that I'm always talking to people about. It's your picture.
Mm-hmm.
That is your digital self. That's how people are going to view you. And you're a beautiful woman. And this is a lovely picture. But because we know so many people are going to be viewing it, I would suggest immediately get a professionally taken photograph. And that's something that you and I talked about.
Yes.
So, when you are going to get a professional, photograph, I always suggest, really getting yourself looking as good as you can. Make yourself look, just make yourself feel great. And I always suggest a white background.
Okay.
Because I think it looks really modern, really contemporary, and it really makes your picture pop.
Stand out.
Yeah. The other thing I always suggest is really get it to frame just your face, so don't get too far away. A lot of people do that. And you can sort of think, oh my goodness, I think maybe
you can barely see them, yes.
Yeah. So
right.
That would be the first thing. The other thing that pops out, I would have to say, is your headline. Now, Dave and I, we had a big conversation about headlines.
Right.
And tell me a little bit more about your experience.
Well, when I first had my profile on LinkedIn, my headline looked very similar to Tabitha's, in that what it was just an identifying, this is what I do for a job, this is my job, this is my position, this is the company that I work for. And after talking to Donna, I realized that that's not really what you want. What you really want to do is let people know instantaneously what it is that you do. Okay. By looking at that, and the position that you hold doesn't really tell a whole lot. It just tells you, I work in public relations, or me, I work as an account rep. So it doesn't really say, well, what I do. And the company that I work for is an arbitrary name, so what that means to anybody, unless they know the company, means virtually nothing. Right. Okay. So Donna and I sat down and came up with some really interesting ideas of ways to look at that, and I'm really pleased with the way it looks. I'm really happy with it.
Do you remember what your headline is? Let's pull it up.
I don't. Exactly word for word, no.
What we can do is let's pull it up just to see, because there you go.
I'm sorry. Okay.
There we go. Helping you collect your slow paying accounts and accelerate your property depreciation. So immediately you know what Dave does.
Right.
And there's a real benefits statement there.
It's very action oriented.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if we were to change yours. Now, I will say this. I don't think there's really anything terribly wrong with yours, because yours is a real keyword pack. So if someone is searching for social media, public relations, marketing, you're going to pop up there. And there is value to that. So I don't want you to think there was anything wrong with what you had, but if we really want to pack a punch, what we want to do is really turn it into a benefit statement. So we could say something like, helping increase awareness around the nonprofit Pensbury Manor. Something to that extent. Okay. Can you think of any other ideas that maybe, that might work? Or we could even talk about, what you're doing with green tea, keeping people healthy. You go ahead. What do you think?
Oh, gosh. In reference to the public relations and marketing, one of the key is increasing visitation, increasing visibility of Pensbury Manor and what we do and who we are. So I think increasing visibility would be something that would be key.
Yeah. And the one thing you have to remember, and this is the part that's really hard, you have to cram in so much into only 120 characters. So it's really difficult.
A key state, right.
But we really work on it. And one of the things that I see that you did, you have little asterisks. Do you see that?
I do, yes.
Now, what you can also do is, if you really want to get fancy, you can go to another person's profile and you can copy characters. So if someone has stars or arrows, there's no magic bullet button. But if you copy it, you can actually paste it in.
Right, which is what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did, yeah.
So if you go to Windows character map, you can scroll down to the bottom and there's tons of little bullets that you can copy and paste in. And that's, it brings people's eyesights there.
It's different.
Yeah.
It definitely stands out.
So let's keep arrowing down here, and let's look at your current and past positions. And the one thing, this looks really great, but what I always suggest is really trying to figure out, why would a person want to contact you? Okay. What do they need? What are the keywords that they might search for, hoping to find someone like you, but they don't know who you are? And so when Dave and I went through this process, we said, all right, they don't know his name, but they know that they need help with collections, with receivables, and then we came up with a whole slew of terms.
Right.
Then once we had those terms, we listed them down on a piece of paper, and then we made sure that as we wrote the profile, we were constantly using those words. Now, I don't know how much you know about search engine optimization, but with Google, it's all about backlinks. It's about how can you, how many people are linking to you. That's what's going to raise you up in the search engine rankings, but it's not true with LinkedIn. With LinkedIn, it's all about keyword density.
Okay.
So, it's how many times do you say collections, receivables, over and over again. Now, you don't want to write obnoxiously. That would turn people off. So you want to do it in an authentic manner. So if we were to think in terms of what you do, we already have some keywords. We'd say public relations, right? We would say marketing, all right? And then what we want to do is just come up with a list of 5 to 7. And if we look here, this area of your screen where it says current and past, this is so highly sensitive for search engines. And yet, your keywords really aren't reflected there. So that might be why you're not faring as well in the search engine. So what we can do is we could really, and I hesitate to use the word keyword stuffing, but we could put a few more keywords in there.
Okay.
And I think you're going to find that you fare quite a bit better.
Okay.
Now, 3 people have recommended you, which is awesome.
Yay.
Let me ask you this. Did they just magically appear, or did you ask for them?
One I asked for, and the other 2 just recommended. I guess we connected on LinkedIn, and then they wrote the recommendation after we connected, so it was very nice.
I think there's something good with karma with these recommendations.
There is, absolutely.
How are you doing with recommendations?
Well, I know I wanted to get to 100%, so I went and did the horrible thing. Well, not horrible thing. I went out and asked people, would you send using the tools that are available on LinkedIn, and I got 10 or 12 almost immediately. So it was great.
Great.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you ask.
Yeah, and it was just simply using the simple little tool that was there, saying, would you recommend me? And I got numerous ones back and was able to do the 100%, so it made me feel good.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And when we talk about recommendations, what I really want people to know is don't just think in terms of receiving, but think in terms of giving as well. Right? And you have 3, and that's what Dave was talking about is that every LinkedIn profile, they have like a rating system, so you can see how complete is your profile. And let's see if yours is here. We'll take a look and see where you are in completion. And I'm going to probably guess you might be at 100. Oh, you're at 95%.
Okay.
So you're almost there. The only thing that you're missing is your skills and expertise. So that's the last little 5% that you need to do. Now, it's worth noting that to get your profile to 100% complete is absolutely worth it, because what I find is LinkedIn profiles fare better in search when they're at 100% complete. In fact, LinkedIn has said their 100% complete profile is 40 times more likely to find opportunities. So it's absolutely worthwhile, and that's why I'm glad you forged ahead to get that. But going back to the recommendations, you're not limited to just 3. This is a great way to promote yourself, and this is a great way to have other people, as Dave found, sell you and sell your abilities. And those recommendations ripple through your network, and they ripple through the other person's network. Ride that wave.
Oh, great.
All right. So actually, before we go any further, let's take a break. And we'll come back to your profile.
Great.
Do you want more traffic for your business, but only have a small advertising budget? Do you want your customer to pick you over your competitor every time? Have you heard that video is the #1 way to get in front of your customers? MallStars makes videos for any budget. They have business videos starting at under $100. Call MallStars at 215-393-1577 or visit our video website at www.mallstars.tv.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. And I am with Tabitha Dardis and Dave Dixon. And what we're doing right now is we're going through Tabitha's LinkedIn profile. And what we were talking about earlier was the importance of keywords.
Yes.
And one of the things that I did with Dave is where the keywords really come into play is within your job title. So within the experience, you want to go into the job title. And a lot of people do exactly what you did, which is you're very, very honest, very open. Hey, I was the director of public relations and marketing.
Probably more resume-like you said before. Yes.
Right. And so, yes, that's right, and yes, that's true, but you did a lot more, and we know you did. And so what we want to do is we want to look at your keywords and then infuse them into that area. And what we had done with you, remember, is, you had some experiences that went back in time that weren't 100% related to what you're doing now, but they were kind of related, right? Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Some of my previous employment was in retail, and I was a manager for various stores, and I did have profit recovery, profit and loss statement responsibilities. Not quite exactly the same way of where I am now, but I still had responsibilities for working on accounts receivable. So the flow did work once we got it worked out and kind of tweaked the words to get them in there. So and it made complete sense, and it really did tie it all together.
Yeah, and so what we really did is we looked at your past, and we took a spotlight or a highlight, and we highlighted those positions and those experience within those positions.
Okay.
And it allowed us to really work with his keywords, and we could do the same with yours.
Great.
All right. So with your experience, let's actually move up above the experience and let's look at your summary. And if we start reading, it says, talented public relations professional with over 20 years of experience developing and
Yawn.
Okay. It looks like, and I'm just gonna make a wild guess here. Did you copy and paste that from your resume?
Yes.
Yeah, most people do.
That's funny. That's what I did too.
Yeah, and guess what, guys? I did as well. I think we all did.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels right. It seems, hey, I paid a lot of money for this resume. I'm going to get as much use out of it as possible. And so we copy, we paste it, and in a way, we don't even really look at it. But what I want you to do now is, really look at it through the eyes of your potential reader. And does this truly speak to the breadth and, what you've done and what you've accomplished and what can you add? So it's not so much even looking back over all of this experience, but what can you do moving forward? How do you benefit people?
Okay.
The other thing, and I think you were kind of surprised. I remember you were surprised when I first talked to you about this, but I said, let's introduce you. Let's say, hi, my name is Dave Dixon. And really make it into a situation where it almost feels like he really is reaching out there and shaking that person's hand.
That's great.
And it's, what I found is it's almost like an attention getter, because people aren't expecting
People don't
that.
expect it, yes.
Yeah, they expect talented public relations.
They expect
that. So I always suggest, when you're doing your summary, write it like you would. Almost visualize like a networking event. And we've met each other many times at many different networking events. And think of what that elevator pitch that you have. And you walk up to people and you say, hi, my name is Tabitha Dortis, and I help, or I benefit, or I do what?
Okay.
So just sort of wrap it into, a benefit statement.
Great.
And then from there, I always like to, one, I guess it's like a pet peeve of mine, but a lot of people love to talk about being a dynamic professional, whatnot. I'm a leader. I'm a project manager. I'm this, I'm that. But, it's like, okay, how about showing me rather than telling me? So now what we want to do is, once you have out who you are and what you do, then it's really a good idea to sort of put out a statement that really talks about the industry, talks about your philosophy, talks about your methodology. No one else is doing that. Okay. And by doing that, what you're really doing is you're showcasing yourself. You're showing them, I don't have to tell you that I'm a talented public relations executive. I am because I have these ideas and I know what direction the industry is going and I understand the future and you're putting it out there.
Okay, great.
And so then maybe I'm going to see if you remember.
Okay.
What is the very last thing we need to have on the summary?
Keywords.
Not the keywords, no.
Okay.
A little before that. So if we have the reader reading, what do we want the reader to do? We've got to tell them. We need to have a clear call to action. All right? So, with this, it just ends with integrity and exemplary work ethic. But that doesn't tell the reader, hey, pick up the phone and call me.
Or connect with me.
Or connect with me, right? So we really want to give them a reason to pick up the phone.
Okay.
Because honestly, a LinkedIn profile that doesn't convert is not necessarily a successful profile. All right. So, what I would say is, figure out, do you want people to visit a website?
Right.
Do we want people to pick up the phone and call us? Make up your mind and then put it in there. And if you can even sort of combine it with an offer, and I think we did an offer, didn't we, where we said, if you're interested in learning more about or to set up a free consultation, then give me a call.
And we added my email address in there, so
Yeah.
make it even simpler for them.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to search for it. It was right there.
It was
for
right
them.
there in front. Yep.
Great.
Now, I know that you have a question about your summary.
Yes, I do. For example, and one of the real reasons I reached out, besides the fact that I realized that it was dated and what I had done was not working, in picking up another part-time opportunity that I've taken that's different than what my career has been, and how to take those two and sort of marry them together so it works. And people aren't looking like, well, what is she really doing? And is she here? Is she there? And blending it, I guess, so it's sort of more seamless. And I was really struggling with what do you do with that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have maybe part-time jobs or two businesses that they're doing, especially these days. And how do you make that all work?
Yeah. And that's a really, it's a good question. It's one that I've gotten many times. And sometimes you do have to say, wait, do I want to put both of them out there? Do I want to have that dual focus? And there are certain times when the answer is no. I really do want to focus in, because my side job is a yoga instructor job. And quite honestly, how many people are going to be connecting with me for that? So it might be best not to have that. But with your focus, it really is, because you're going to be working with people, you're going to be talking to distributors, you're going to be talking to retail outlets. So it's going to be important to have both of those on there.
Yes.
And in that situation, I think one of the things to remember is really being natural and really speaking directly. So right in a conversational way. And just as you would say, by the way, this is another aspect, or this is another thing that I'm doing, or even sort of trying to find a commonality between those jobs and say, and because I so enjoy interfacing with people, I've decided to go into this new business. Now, we had a similar situation.
We did.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I also have another position as well. I work for a company as an account rep for a company by the name of Cost Segregation Services. Now, the benefit for that is that they both have cash flow relations. So I can tie the two together, even though they're completely different. But it's a benefit for business owners, commercial property owners, to actually increase their cash flow with saving tax money. So what we did is marry the two together in my headline, and give me a cash flow theme, which really blended for both. So, and it really worked out well.
Great.
All right, so let's take another short break, and we'll join for the very end. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm here with Tabitha Dardis and Dave Dixon. And, I've given you a whole bunch of tips and tricks to really optimizing your LinkedIn profile. I think, a good picture, a little bit more of a benefit statement headline, and really thinking about what your keywords are, infusing those in your positions, and then really creating a summary, one that really speaks to your reader and talks about what they're going to get out of working with you, so they can feel really good about that situation. I think those are the really main key points that you can take away today.
Okay, great.
Now, Dave, do you have any tips and tricks that you've discovered since our session?
Yes. Well, when you and I met, you emphasize the need, the need to get involved in groups. And you were rather adamant about getting involved in 50 groups. So at the time, I think I was involved in maybe 3 or 4. And I'm up to about 45 now. So I'm not all the way there, but I'm close. The benefit is not just getting your name in the groups, but also getting involved in the groups. And so I found some really interesting groups to get involved with, and I've shared feedback and found some new contacts through them. So I'm hoping that's going to continue growing my network and getting people to know who I am. So
fantastic! Right. Now I don't want you to get too scared. I want everyone to join 50 groups,
Okay.
but you don't have to interact in all 50 groups. I know there's probably a lot of people out there going, I don't have the time.
Yeah. When I'm going to fit that in.
But here's the thing, with the LinkedIn groups, remember I told you the first and second degree and third degree? Well, you can expand your network by adding groups with a lot of members. So that's another way of really growing your LinkedIn footprint.
Okay.
And so that's why I say join 50 groups, get as many in there, and then do what Dave did, which is, really determine which ones strategically make sense for me to be involved in. And then at that point you can say, I think I can be involved in one group, or I can be involved in 5 groups. It depends on what your time is, but it also depends on what your ROI is as well. All right,
great.
So, Tabitha, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed having you.
Well, I'm looking forward to working with you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to working with you too. And I have a present for you.
Okay.
This is my book. It's LinkedIn Makeover, Professional Secrets to a Powerful LinkedIn Profile. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and Nook. And you can even download it from my website, linkedin-makeover.com. I want you to have this.
Thank you.
And Dave, I did not forget you. You already have my book.
I do.
And so what I have for you is a little drive here that contains all of my ebooks and access to my new membership site. So,
Excellent.
Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for joining us. I really enjoyed this session. I hope you did as well. And our next episode is going to contain tons of wonderful information all about Facebook and Twitter. So thank you so much for joining us.